Welcome to Coffee Talk, Liquidshano 1973. And now your host, me, Shane Lakita. Hey, good morning, peeps. Here I am again on another podcast, another day. Here I am on a Wednesday where it's a little cloudy up here in Maine, but it's going to be warm. It's a little muggy, but it's beautiful. It's another day I'm living and breathing, and it's a good day. So you're here with me again on another podcast, which blows me away. But here we are again, all the way in the upwards of almost 160 episodes of this podcast, where we sit down and we talk about everything. We talk about life. We talk about our journey. We talk about the ups and downs. We talk about everything. And I appreciate each and every single one of you, because if it weren't for you, I don't know if I would be doing this podcast. I know I always say that I use it as therapy for myself, but I love the fact that I can use it to help others, to help to lift others up, to give them focus and direction and motivation and accountability and all that stuff. So that's really the reason why I do this each week, where I try to put out a podcast and be able to cover content that I might cover through my blogging or through whatever it is. So I appreciate all of you guys. I've gotten a lot of really great feedback over the last couple podcasts, and it's growing as we move forward, because I think that people are sharing the podcast and throughout the social media platforms. It's really a great way to be able to continue to grow and expand and elevate and be able to keep moving forward. Another one of those ways that I'm able to move forward in the space of podcast and equipment upgrades and all the different avenues is, as many of you know, it takes time, it takes energy, and it takes money to be able to do these podcasts. It takes an ability for me to be able to put the effort in to be able to put content that's actually relevant and something that actually works and matters and all those things. Well, one of those ways that I can help to support that is through our Patreon page. Now, if you're not familiar with what Patreon is, it's a platform that's used by developers or musicians or podcasters or artists to be able to have whatever following that they may have through their podcast or through their art form of whatever they're trying to be able to utilize. Their followers are able to go in and donate or be able to give to the function, whatever it is that they're trying to be able to do. And then they can pledge a certain amount per month to be able to go into the till of whatever it is that they're trying to be able to work towards. Because to be able to upgrade with better microphones or new microphone stands or software or upgrades or those kind of things, like I said, it costs money. So one of the ways that I can help to alleviate that is I do have a Patreon page, and you can visit the Patreon page by going to www.patreon.com/liquidcoffeetalk. And you can go in there to be able to donate. You can go there to be able to give whatever you want to give, to be able to just support the cause and be able to see where we're at with the podcast. So I appreciate all of the patrons that are already in there and that are donating each month and are giving to the cause for me to be able to keep moving forward. So I really do appreciate that. So this podcast itself, it's a Wednesday. And again, we're at that halfway mark. We're at the halfway point through the week. We're looking at whether we're on the downslope or whether we're on the upslope, right? Whether we've had a good first few days and we're really having some good momentum and we're shooting for the stars, or we had a pretty tough few days for the beginning of the week and now we're just trying to be able to pick ourselves back up and move on. So Wednesdays are usually tough for a lot of people because it's the point where we're not really at the weekend, but we're not really off the weekend yet. It's kind of a weird Kaluji phase that we're at most of the time on Wednesdays. So today's podcast is going to be a culmination of a few of the different blogs that I put out this last week or so about just different topics that we're going to be able to go over. And there's two separate topics, but they coincide and or they meld well with each other. So I want to go over them with you because I feel like it's relevant in our journey. It's relevant in whatever we're trying to be able to accomplish and the goals that we're trying to shoot for each and every day and the struggles that we go through trying to get there. Okay. So I'm going to go and get this podcast started. Again, I appreciate all of your support and thanks for listening to this podcast, and let's go ahead and get this thing rolling. Okay, so that's a bunch of stuff that we did to be able to have music going, all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to toy with some things here on the podcast to make it a little more fun, a little more exciting for everybody that's listening. So I appreciate your patience with me as I'm figuring all of this stuff out with the podcast and just trying to make it more relevant and fun and unique and those kind of things. So here we are again, like I said, like I opened with in the beginning, in the intro here on the podcast itself, where we are talking about different things in the journey. And a couple things that I posted about just in the last maybe week or so. There was 2 posts that I put out. And the 2 posts that I did, one of them was a video post and one of them was a visual, like a image that I posted this morning, that I want to touch on both of them because I think that they're both, like I said, very relevant to what we're trying to be able to accomplish and trying to be able to do. And one of the things that I did on the video blog entry that I did on No Finish Line Nation, which is, again, a web page that you can go to, a Facebook page that you can go to be able to join a bunch of other people that are just trying to be healthy and trying to be able to live their best lives together. And they're sharing posts and images and videos, and they're lifting each other up and holding each other accountable and all those great things. So No Finish Line Nation is all you have to type in the search bar for Facebook. You can find that page. But I posted a video on there, on the page itself. And basically it was about doing one thing, focusing on one single thing. You know, how many times are we sitting there and we go through our journeys and we're going through life, or we go through professional journeys or health-related journeys or life in general as parents, as husbands, wives, whatever it is, and we have this huge dynamic and this huge mountain to be able to accomplish. And we just feel like we're underwater. Like if you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a stay-at-home dad and you've got laundry piled up to the roof and you've got the bathrooms you need to clean and you got the dishes that still need to get done and you got errands you got to run and you got to clean up all kinds of different stuff. You got to paint this or do that or whatever else that's there. And it just feels like everything is just piling up on top of you over and over again. Or if you're a professional and you've got reports that you've got to be able to run, or you've got agendas to be able to accomplish, or meetings to get to, or conference calls to hop on, or ride days to do, or visits to do, or whatever it is professionally that you have to do. Again, it just feels like it's huge, it's monumental, it's overwhelming, it's a mountain size of stuff that we have to accomplish, and it really feels like it can't be accomplished. It could be any aspect of life. We all fit into this mold of where we get into, where we just feel like life is just weighing down on us. And then, of course, outside of the mountainous amount of things that you have going on, you've got drama that goes on. You got life that happens. You got family that's sick. You've got different situations that are happening that you have to sit there and say to yourself, okay, how do I accomplish the things that I have to accomplish and continue to move forward with my health-related journey? I want to lose weight. I want to run miles. I want to do whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish on that end that I know is really important. But the mountainous size of everything we're trying to be able to accomplish just seems like it's so much that we can't accomplish anything. And then we start to slide, and then we start to eat to cope with those mechanisms, or we start to drink to cope with those mechanisms, or whatever it is that happens that we have as our own crutches and our own little buffers that we put in to be able to help ourselves feel better during those times when that Mount Etna is standing in front of us, when in all actuality, it really shouldn't be that way. We as humans want to accomplish those things because we want to be able to do great things. We want to be able to move forward. We want to be successful. We want to feel like we're accomplishing something. And we want to feel like, I'm worth something. And life isn't crumbling down around me. The bills aren't piling so high that defines me because of the amount of debt that I have, or the amount of student loans that I have, or the amount of credit card debt that I have, or whatever. That doesn't define me, but it ends up defining us. It ends up making us feel like that's our identity, and we feel like everything that we've got going on around us literally makes us who we are, when it isn't who we are. And when you look at those mountainous, huge things that you have to try to be able to accomplish, you then get into a space where you're in the negative headspace, and you think to yourself, I can't accomplish these things. It's impossible. Who in their right mind would be able to break down $40,000 worth of credit card debt? Who in their right mind would be able to lose 125 pounds? Who in their right mind would be able to rebuild the house and repaint everything on your own as a single mom or single dad or whatever it is, whatever your story is, we then get into this negative place where we just start to doubt ourselves and start to be negative on ourselves. And we shouldn't be there. We shouldn't be in that space. But it's human nature, and it's what we do, and it's how we handle things. Well, the time is now to be able to change that narrative. We got to change out how we start to think about ourselves or feel about ourselves when it comes to those mountainous, huge hurdles that we have to overcome. What I did on the video post is I really leaned in on focusing on one thing at a time, not everything. You can make a list. Let's say, for instance, you go to a piece of paper and you write down all the things you have to accomplish. And you might have 50 things on that paper, and you might feel like, oh my God, what am I doing here? Like, I've got all these things to try to accomplish. I'm never going to get ahead of the game. So what you do is you list out the 50, you put that off to the side, or you then prioritize what's most important, right? Or what's least important. It's almost like what they say, the way to attack credit card debt, right? How many people have multiple credit cards? And what they always try to say to you is the ones with the smallest balances that are on them, you want to be able to invest in them more, to be able to then pay them off, so that way you can have a zero balance on those and be able to move into the next ones, all the while paying minimum payments on the other ones. Right? That's almost like basic budgeting fundamental 101. Trust me, it's easier said than done, but that's kind of what they say to be able to do it. It's the same concept here. If you've got 50 things on your list of things to do, go with the things that are easily achievable and focus on the one thing that's easily achievable, so that way you can do one of two things. One of them, you can mark it off the list and you can go ahead and put it down, and you feel good about the fact that you're moving forward and you are accomplishing something that you didn't feel like you were doing before because it seemed like it was so monumental and huge. And the second thing is that euphoric feeling that you can learn to carry that momentum forward into whatever the next thing that you want to be able to accomplish. But don't move on to the next thing until you focus on the one thing that you got to be able to accomplish. That's the hard part. We want to multitask. We want to be great. We want to be amazing. We want to be super mom, super dad, super husband, super wife, super employee. We want to be the man or the woman accomplishing everything you throw at us, and we're going to be amazing at it. We're going to do everything we have to do. But you have to look at yourself and say, it's not possible for me to do that. It's not feasible for me to be, although some people do it better than others, but even those people that seem like they've got it all put together and they are literally just killing it, and they are multitasking and they're accomplishing all these different portions or goals or whatever else that they're doing, when they are working on things internally, they are struggling just like you are. They're overwhelmed. They go home. Maybe they cope with things, like I said, alcohol or food or whatever, those kind of things. Or they go for many, many runs to be able to be that release that they need. But they're struggling just like you are. It's human nature. It's okay. We have a lot of things on our plates. It's all right to struggle. But if you focus on the one thing and you hone in on the one thing that you know you can accomplish, and you can feel like you've gained momentum, and you can feel like you're a winner at that moment in time, what better way to move into your next stage or the next goal that you want to accomplish or the next task that you have to do than feeling like I just kicked some ass on that last one, so I need to move into this next one because the next one I can accomplish it. And it may be just the next one up on the rung, right? A little bit more difficult to be able to accomplish, or a little bit more focus you got to put into it. And then you could focus on that one thing and continue to focus on it and be great at it and be excellent at it and be a pro at that whatever one thing that you're trying to be able to accomplish. Now, I'm not saying to just focus on the one thing and forget about everything else, right? I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying is if you make a list of all the things that you have to be able to do, you know what your priorities are. And if you have these high priority items, these ones that are non-negotiables, they are ongoing and continually keep moving forward, like picking up your children from school, bringing them to practices, feeding the family, whatever else, those kind of things, it's okay to be able to layer those in as being, those are ongoing tasks that you need to accomplish and be able to move forward with and those kind of things, because you don't want to lose sight of those. If you focus on the one thing, like maybe you want to do laundry and then your kids are starving at the table, yeah, okay, that's defeating the purpose of everything. You don't feel accomplished with anything. What I am saying is prioritize and focus on the one thing that you can accomplish so that way you can feel good about it, but also it will help you to maintain, because then you're going to start to whittle down that mountain the size of everything. So those other ones that are automatics that you're doing every day, those are going to come with ease to you because you don't feel like the world is weighing on your shoulders. Okay, so focus on one thing. That literally should be your theme. Because if you focus on one thing, you accomplish the one thing, you'll feel good about the one thing, and then you can move on to the next thing. And then when you move on to the next thing, that doesn't mean take on 3 more things. That means focus on the next one thing. Now, I know it sounds almost like pie in the sky, right? It sounds like we're in this space where, okay, yeah, great. That sounds good on paper and it sounds good on a podcast that I'm listening to, but it's not reality. And I get all that. I do. Life happens, noise happens, all kinds of stuff goes on in our lives. But give yourself the time and the effort to plan out the one thing you're going to focus on and work on that you can accomplish and be able to start whittle away that big, huge thing you're trying to be able to do. Okay, so that's the first thing I was talking about on the video podcast. And then the other thing is don't beat yourself up when you fall. Let's say, for instance, you go for the one thing and you're saying to yourself, I can accomplish this one thing. And then, whoops, life happens and you don't accomplish the one thing. Well, here's the mindset part of it. Here's where the real work happens is how do I overcome the personal internal mechanism that happens that you start to beat yourself up and you start to become self-doubting and your worst critic and all those things. And then you get to a really negative place when you're doing that. So if you don't accomplish the one thing at that moment in time, then you're like, well, what the hell am I doing this for, man? This just stinks. This is dumb. I'm just going to go back to trying to be able to attack that humongous mountain. Well, here's a couple things that we can do. One, if you're successful at the one thing, great, we learn from it. We learn from what worked. We learn how we felt. We learned what avenue we took. We learned what steps we took to get there. We learned who we used as resources. We learn everything. And you write those things down as bullet point items, as learnings from each one of the different situations. So if you were successful, great, write down all the things that you were successful with. But on the same token, if you weren't successful and you fell down a little bit, use that same exact opportunity to do the same exact thing. So use that as a learning also to be in the fact of what failed. What happened? Like what got in my way? What was the obstacle? How did I feel? What did I use as a coping mechanism? All the different things that you're doing towards going for that goal. If you failed, that's okay too, because failing is only learning. That's all it is. It's basically a small snapshot in time that you can build your strength, you can refocus, refire, and then learn from the mistakes that you made. And if you can take those 1, 2, or 3 bullet point items and learn from them and write them down and use them as guidelines for when you go for the goal the next time, or you move on to, after completing that one, into the next goal that you're trying to be able to shoot for, then you can use it as being, I want to watch out for these triggers. I want to watch out for these red marks. I want to watch out for these alarms, these fires that might happen, all those things. And you can literally set yourself up for success, because then you can read the 3 items that you learned from, that you felt this way or you did this, and you can get in front of it and try to be able to attack that rather than be reactionary and respond to it. Get in front of it. You know these things may happen again. Oh, I should say, you know these things will happen again the next time you try to go for whatever the next task that you want to be able to accomplish. So learn from mistakes, learn from wins, and not just learn from, I accomplished it. Like, it isn't like okay, I had this one task that I did, so I got it done. Okay, great, awesome. Check it off the list. Awesome. And you move on. What I mean is you take a look at it. I got it done. How did that make me feel? Number one, I felt accomplished, or I felt euphoric, or I felt worthy, or whatever the feelings that you're doing. Write those things down. Or how did you get there? Did you prioritize? Did you maximize your day? Did you take a look at the list of things that you had to do, and then you listed out the one that you knew you could accomplish? And how did you get there? What steps did you take to accomplish that one thing? And you can write those things down to be able to, again, like I said, from learning from failure, you learn from success, that you can now proactively set yourself up for success for the next item that you're trying to work on. And I only share this with you because these are the things that I know I have to do Otherwise, my life literally would crash and burn all around me. I've got so much stuff going on that I literally would fall apart if I did not prioritize, I did not plan, I did not take a look at whittling it down towards achievable, accomplishable goals. And then when you're looking at all of those goals that you're trying to accomplish, all those small tasks that you're trying to do, the small weight increments you're trying to lose, the small amounts of chores that you want to accomplish, the small amounts of jobs that you want to do at work, the small amounts of runs that you want to build towards the marathon, whatever it is, after you do many of the smaller little things, the accomplishment at the end is going to lead towards the bigger, broader, grander goals. And then you're going to look back and go, wow, when I first started this, I never thought I could accomplish that. I never thought I'd be able to accomplish that marathon or accomplish all those chores and take care of all that stuff that I had to do. But I did it because, wait a minute, all the small little tasks led to the big one. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty great. It's something that you're really looking at. So you got to learn and grow from falling and learn and grow from your successes in those small little tasks, right? And then here's the other part. I posted it this morning of where I was at. You know, we grow up in society. We look at things like what is a version of success, right? So when you got that mountainous thing that you're trying to be able to accomplish, why do you have that mountainous thing you wanted to accomplish? Is it because just it's a personal thing you wanted to be able to do? Or is it because society makes it to be the fact that you've got to be a perfect mom or a perfect dad, or you've got to be a perfect child, or you got to, not have any flaws, or you got to look like they look in the magazines or on the TV and have the six-pack abs and be able to run 17,000 miles or whatever it is that you see around you, all around you, and whatever society lets to be the norm of what they depict as being healthy or wealthy or wise or those kind of things. And we all go through it. We've all been through it. We start when we're little kids. We grow up through the whole entire ranks. We're looking at the fact that, I'm looking at Barbies when we're younger, or Kens when we're younger, or G.I. Joes. And we look at magazines of Sports Illustrated or Cosmopolitan magazines or whatever you're looking at. All these different depictions of what health looks like or what success looks like is what society makes it. But I believe that success is only what we make it. I believe that we should be who we are and embrace who we are. If I fail at certain things, or if I'm overweight, or if I don't necessarily do exactly what society thinks that I should do to be successful, but I feel successful, that is all that matters. You need to be who you are. Embrace your flaws. Understand that, okay, I'm overweight. Yeah, I get that. Oh, okay, I've gained some weight. Oh, yep, I get that too. Oh, okay, I have depression, or I have some mental illness, or I've got some things that go on that doesn't make me perfect, or it doesn't make me the perfect mom or dad. But I don't want to admit that to anybody because I don't want anybody to know that, because society will look down on me, right? Well, no, actually embrace that. Know that there are things that you do have to work on. That's okay, but you got to work on them for you. And if you feel good about where you're at in the situation that you're in, you've gone to get help, you've gone to do the things that you need to do, or you've taken yoga, or you've taken meditation to be able to get your mindset in the right place, or you've taken a breather just to step away so that you're not snapping at your kids. Whatever it is that you need to do, it's okay. We're flawed in every single way. There is not a single person in this world that is perfect. Nobody. Nobody's perfect. And if they think that they're perfect, then they're an egomaniac, because they're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. Everybody's flawed. Everybody has chinks in the armor. Everybody's got scratches on the post. Everybody's got all these little things that are going on, skeletons in the closet and everything else. They may have this great facial outside view that you might see when you look at Instagram and you see the perfect filters, or you see the perfect views or the perfect body, but we don't know what's going on with those people. Everybody has flaws. The key to it is that do you take those flaws, embrace those flaws, and be able to say, I am who I am, and now I've just got to be the best version of me now. Not the best version of what society thinks, not the best version of what my neighbor looks at when he looks out the window and sees me, not the best version of I don't live in the best house of all, or I don't have the best car of all, or whatever. Not those best versions. I mean the best version of yourself. You're working on your own craft of being you. You're a piece of art if you think about it, right? So if you're putting a painting on the wall, And the small little imperfections that are on that painting, the small little nicks in there, the small little discolorations, or the spatter of the paint or whatever on the left-hand side, but it stays there, and it's your painting, it's your journey, it's what you embody. It's who you are. Don't lose sight of that. Because a lot of times what I see on social media, through Facebook, through Instagram and whatever, I see people struggle so much. And a lot of times their struggle comes from, I can't lose weight, I can't this, any other. Okay, I get all that. I do. But when you look at the fact that you want to lose weight, what is the reason you want to lose weight? Is it to be healthy? Awesome. Good. That's really one of the top reasons why we want to. Do you want to lose weight because you want to be a good parent and you want to be able to play with your kids? Absolutely. Outstanding. Good reasons. But do you want to lose weight just because you want to look good at the beach in front of other people? Yeah, there's some validity to that. I mean, I get it. You want to look good in front of other people. But at the end of the day, you don't want to look good just because other people can look at you and go, wow, look at her body, or look at his body. He's great. Whatever. That we got to stop living in the space that we're trying to impress others, even though we say we're not, because internally we're wired that way. There's no version of perfect. Perfect is actually being perfectly imperfect, right? I mean, I know many of you have seen that quote many times. If I have imperfections and I embrace those imperfections and I make them who I am, and then I work with those imperfections towards trying to be able to go towards the best version of me, then that is the perfect spot to be in. Right? If you're imperfect and you're trying to work with those imperfections, and you are taking those flaws and taking those inadequacies, right? You're taking those little things that we may perceive as being something that's negative, but turning them into a positive and really being the best version of you, and doing the things that you love to do, and investing in other people to continue to push forward, and doing whatever it is and whatever it takes to be a good human being in general, then what other place would you rather be than that? Your imperfections make you perfect. Don't forget that. Because whatever everybody else says is the version of perfect is not your version of perfect. So focus in on those two things that I talked about today. That's what I'm doing. I know I'm not perfect. I know I've gained a little bit of weight. I know all the things that like we look at ourselves in the mirror and we pick ourselves apart all the time. You know, I mean, when you're looking in the mirror, do you do that? Do you look in the mirror and say, I'm overweight here. I got a little roll here. I got this going on here. I got wrinkles in the face. I got gray hairs. I got whatever it is that we're doing. We literally pick ourselves apart. Well, we got to stop doing that and start to embrace those things. It's easier said than done, I know. But embrace who you are. Embrace the person that you're trying to become. Embrace your imperfections, and embrace all the things that you've done in your life so far as chapters of your book. Artwork on the wall. Because it only makes that painting more beautiful if you can look at that and say, okay, I accept my flaws. And I accept that painting for what it is. And that's what makes that painting so much more worth than a perfect cookie cutter painting that you might see anywhere else. Because there's imperfections, because there's little things that go on. There's frays on the side. There's colorations that are different. Embrace yourself. Learn from your mistakes, right? Like we talked about earlier. Focus on one thing, and let's do this all together. All right? Let's go get them. Thank you so much for listening to Coffee Talk with Liquidshano 1973 podcast. You can also find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and other social media platforms at Liquidshano 1973. And if you could do us a favor, pop on over to iTunes and show us some love and leave some feedback there for us. Talk later.